The Silverberg Leadership Award is presented annually to a school leader who has successfully impacted student achievement outcomes through a deep implementation of EL education practices, inspiring teachers, administrative staff, and students to embrace EL education culture and to lead students to a superior education, enhanced character development, and a sense of civic responsibility. The past 5 recipients of the Silverberg Leadership Award were charged with reading through the files submitted for the finalists and having the most difficult job in choosing one winner. We were looking for a leader who had united staff, students, and the broader community around an inspirational vision of student success rooted in EL education's 3 dimensions of student achievement. A leader who engaged their school community in continuous improvement to fulfill the vision. A leader who cultivated a professional culture among adults that parallels the empowering culture they foster for students. A leader who builds the leadership capacity of others and empowers them to lead improvement across the school. A leader who respects teachers and other staff members as creative agents and supports them as professionals, continually seeking to improve their craft. And a leader who ensures high-quality instruction through adequate allocation of resources and supporting structures so that all students excel. It is my honor as the 2018 recipient to pass the torch and present the 2019 Silverberg Leadership Award to Harborside Academy's own William Haithcock. There were many amazing things shared about Bill by his staff, but there were a few quotes and comments that I want to share that stood out to me the most as they hands down sum up the type of leader that Bill is. Bill is the definition of getting smart to do good, the definition of we are crew, not passengers. He is EL education. Bill is not afraid to roll up his sleeves to tackle tough problems with standards and testing. Bill wrestles through student and staff apathy towards the development of knowledge and skills in order to help students and staff see that there is more in them than they know. Bill challenges staff to reach beyond their limitations. His ready, fire, aim approach has created a culture of reflection and refinement. A lot of EL schools will phase in portions of the core practices. Bill is willing to muddle through failure in order to reach students. Bill, you're my buddy, and I'm so excited for you. Our friendship over the past few years has been filled with so many laughs. Now, usually it's because you're picking on me and cracking jokes, but that makes it even more fun to get to pass the torch to you. It is clear that you work tirelessly to make sure your staff is appreciated, honored, and noticed. And now it is your turn to be appreciated, honored, and noticed, receiving the highest leadership honor EL education bestows. Are you about to cry? Oh my God.
I thought I picked on you all.
Yes! Please join me in congratulating the 2019 EL Education Silverberg Leadership Award recipient, Bill Haithcock.
I don't know who picks on who in that relationship, but by the way, you guys look awesome out there. Way to go, EL Nation. That's great. Good morning. I'd like to start by thanking Erwin Silverberg. Erwin and I have talked a lot over the last few years, and I just consider him to be an amazing part of my crew. To win an award like this with his name on it, therefore, means a ton to me because I know how important this work is to him. I also want to thank the staff of EL and all the support that they give, and I want to thank Laina Cox and all of the previous Silverberg Award winners. Honestly, to walk in your footsteps is an honor that I can't even begin to fathom. I'm so honored to be added to a list such as this. I also want to thank the Harborside team. There's 11 of us here. I'm the luckiest leader in the world. Didn't see that coming. Jerks. I'm the luckiest leader in the world because all of you found your way to Harborside. In my opinion, the most important thing that principals do is hire people that work directly with students. I'm an imperfect soul, to be sure, but I got it right, adding you people and our colleagues back home to this team. I also want to thank my wife, Ann. As a person, I am a full-time warrior. Our leaders plan with me. Trent comes up with most of the smart things that we do, or at least he takes my crazy ideas and makes them look smart. Kelly keeps us all in line, but Ann listens when I need it most, when I'm at home, and the great thing about that is when we're talking about school, she usually agrees with me. Ann, by the way, ran the Chicago Marathon this past Saturday. She's one of those people that you'd be incredibly inspired by her work ethic. Oh, don't look at me like that. It's just tough to do things less than 100% when you're around people like that, right? She's amazing. So thank you, everybody in my life that supports me. I think I'm supposed to talk about education at some point here. So I started teaching in January 1992. 3 teachers had already left in the middle of the year in that self-contained classroom. I started with 6 boys. There was no curriculum because the teachers in the room had decided there were so many behavior problems that they didn't have time to work on academics. My first day was an interesting start. I was fired up, I was ready to go. I had the room all set, new books on each desk. I had 3 color-coded grade levels of assignments on the board. I was fired up. My boys came in and they told me, pretty much doesn't matter what you say because we're going to make you quit. And I thought, these young men don't know what the word student loans mean. So I made it till 9 o'clock that morning, and it was time for Michael to go to his inclusion math class. Michael didn't want to go to math, and so the educational assistant assigned to the room decided to support me and drug him down the hallway by his feet while he screamed and yelled and swore. She tried to pull him into Mrs. Larson's class, and he held onto the door frame, screaming and swearing while 30 other kids looked on in shock and awe, and his new red Nike shoe came off, and she chucked it into the room so that he had to go get it, and then she anchored down and held the door and instructed me to help her. About that point, I realized I'm in charge here, and I should probably step in. And so we gathered Michael together, and we went back to class. And I learned that strategy didn't work. At recess time, I approved 5 of the boys who had done their work to go outside for recess, but I stood and blocked the doorway so that Michael couldn't go because he hadn't done his work, and so Michael threw a chair at my head. I learned that didn't work either. In 2 weeks, things were going pretty good with the 5 boys, but Michael was still refusing to do any work for me. So I talked to his mom, and we decided to wait him out one Thursday night. After a few hours, Michael eventually lost his temper, and he grabbed this old coffee can full of crayons and it chucked it against the wall, and there was coffee cans and remnants of crayons and crayon dust everywhere. But then he started to cry, and he surprised me because he got down on the floor and started to pick up the crayons. I sat on the floor next to him, and we quietly picked up the biggest crayon mess that had ever been created, ever. After some time, I said, Michael, I got this. Get your work done so that we can get out of here. He confidently and competently went to work without my help for the next couple of hours. We stopped and bought a soda on the way out that evening, and we got home, and even though it was close to 11 o'clock p.m., he asked his mom if he and I could go to the park down by Wilson School where he could show me how good he was at basketball. And so we did that, and we came back and we sat on his porch until 1 o'clock in the morning talking about family, and I drove home that night as a 22-year-old educator, super proud of what was happening for Michael. The next morning, Michael came into school, he took a look at me, shoved all his books on the floor, and he told me that just because he's done his work the day before, he didn't want me to think he was going to do it again. He sat down and refused to work, and I sat there and thought, I guess in the long run, that didn't work either. And about an hour before recess, it dawned on me, I'm an idiot. I went to Michael and I knelt next to him and I explained to him that the reason I really wanted him to do his work is because I had a job that I needed his help with after school. I explained that I needed his work to be done because it was kind of a leadership role, and to be chosen for a leadership role, I wanted him to have his work done. He cut me off and he said, so you mean if I can do my work, I can stay and hang out late like we did last night? And I said, yes, and he did, bet. And he immediately got to work. So I learned that high expectations matter, but relationships work. I learned a lot from my boys that year. I learned that it's our job to set high expectations and to respond appropriately when things go wrong, but that none of that means anything unless you have an amazing plan to build the good that exists within each of your students. I am keenly aware that I am in charge of the culture at Harborside Academy. There are many times that I have to say no. However, it's important to remember that we set limits because our kids need us to believe in them, but limits alone don't change behavior. If we want to help a child to truly improve their life, we have to build confidence and compassion in them. Quite simply, at the core, we are all in the business of finding and building the good in kids. To build this kind of good in our students requires relentless, intentional effort. As leaders, we need to create systems that recognize growth in both academics and character. Therefore, we need systems that communicate progress in order to create a growth mindset regarding building character. If you know me at all, you know I believe that service learning is at the heart of character development. Not only does service increase the authenticity of our classwork, it also makes our students proud of who they are. We need systems that build serious academic skills while simultaneously emphasizing high-quality work. In fact, I believe that there's not a more powerful moment in education than when a kid creates something that they previously didn't think they were capable of creating. That kind of teaching is game-changing. The last critical piece of our system at Harborside relates to the concept of building wide leadership capacity. At Harborside, leadership is an us thing. We have 6 leadership team subcommittees with 37 staff members. 37 people in our building combined to create the type of leadership that it takes to do what we do. Giving an award to me today feels a little bit silly because we all know that one person cannot make a great school. We need many great leaders. Therefore, today, I want to challenge every administrator in this room to get into the business of leadership development. I know, leaders, we're all rightfully sad when some of our great teachers start getting promoted out of our classrooms, but I am completely convinced that your school and my school will be at its best when our students and our staff are empowered to reach their dreams. In the end, nobody knows better than me that creating systems like this is hard. Doing school right is hard. But I have amazing news for all of us in this room. I think our EL friends, who are wicked smart, as Mahoney would say, have put together a pretty good pathway to help us accomplish the level of success that everybody in this room is striving for. EL crew, this is our vision. I believe that Harborside is blessed because we've never had to argue about what we need to do. We just have to talk about how the implementation of this book looks in our building. We have never treated this book as an optional menu of items to choose from. Rather, we treat it as our comprehensive roadmap to success. I've heard people say that it's not the easiest time in history to be an educator. I don't know, or even care if that's true, to be honest. I just know it's our time. Kurt Hahn said, "There's more in us than we know. If we can be made to see it, perhaps for the rest of our lives, we'll be unwilling to settle for less. It is our time because my Michaels and your Michaels need us desperately to be unwilling to settle for less." Erwin, you are not physically present today, but I know that you will see this message soon. Thank you again from the bottom of my heart for this incredible honor. I accept this award on the behalf of every friend in this room that I've stolen ideas from, the past and present staff, the amazing students, and the families of Harborside Academy. Thank you for honoring the work that all these people have cared so deeply about. Thank you.